Hey everyone. Alright, so taking place immediately in the aftermath of the last chapter, this one sees Taro kind of engaging with a discussion of Nagamo and Hyo right out of the gate, and a couple obvious but interesting things to talk about with this meeting. First is that when Taro divulges slur is Uzuki, Nagamo's reaction is fantastic. Like, as composed and jovial as he usually is, just the mere mention of that name even threw him off guard, and Nagamo following up by 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 saying that better be a joke, Taro. You're telling me that you failed to kill Uzuki? Like, it does go a long way to filling in so many blanks of what happened that day, and that however much Uzuki's last rampage was focused specifically on the JAA, it was a personal matter for both Taro and Nagamo. Like, they definitely lost someone that day, and like just someone got caught in the crossfire. And yeah, I'd be willing to bet this someone in question is this a cow person Hyo mentioned. So we do have a name, and now it's just a matter of the face. So fit the face to go along with it. Also, I'm not gonna lie, I feel this chapter also gave us a greater sense of why Taro left the life of an assassin. Like, it wasn't just because of Aoi, although she was a contributing factor for sure. I it's I think whatever happened back then with this Akao was the first was I think it was one of those weird turning points where it was the first turning point of Sakamoto becoming the world's greatest assassin, but it was also weirdly the something like the first moment I think in his life where he began reevaluating. That would eventually lead him to reevaluating his life as an assassin, I think. And yeah, after getting into a fight with Hyo, Taro and Shin are pointed in the direction of the JCC databank. So yeah, another infiltration mission, although I get the feeling this promises for a few hilarious shenanigans before shit hits the fan, since they're basically going undercover as students at the JA. At least that's how I imagine this is gonna go. But I think one of the interesting things about this setup, though, is that it really will give us a chance to get a deeper dive into Taro's life before being known as the world's most dangerous assassin. Because while we've gotten little bits and pieces of his life while he was studying at the JCC, we haven't really gotten a full picture yet of just what he was like back then, and just how those formative year and just what those formative years of his training at the JCC kind of shaped him into who he would become. So more than anything, this chapter really set expectations for this arc. Now that we're we're likely to get deep into the lore of Taro's life, like before settling down. And as far as the fight itself, like, I really do like that it emphasized the idea that, yeah, for as weak as Taro became, he does find his strength now in the support from others like Shin and like Shin and Lu and whatnot. And I like how even in the aftermath, Shin acknowledges there's a lot he himself still feels he's lacking, so maybe infiltrating the JCC as students might even help Shin find what he feels is missing, that spark to truly grow stronger and become more reliable. And from what I hear, from what I saw, this arc was basically split into two, so there's going to be a lot of time to showcase a lot of this growth and a lot of this, like, exploration of Taro's past and whatnot. So yeah, this promises to be a bit of a hefty arc that are going to be hefty arc for sure. Uh, Last thing I want to mention, though, is I want to circle back to something Hyo said when Nagamo talked briefly about how Uzuki was in the same class as himself and Taro, because Hyo's response to that brief explanation is if Uzuki showed any promise, he would have heard of him. And that one line itself just reinforced just how dangerous Uzuki is now versus back then, because in a way, the culture of assassination created by the JA, I think, has in some ways diluted the idea and meaning of what it means to be an assassin. Meaning you're pretty much only you're pretty much only worth anything if you're well known. Like, if you're somehow within the public face of the JAA. Uzuki, well, as Uzuki, for as much Uzuki did not. And the thing about Uzuki is, for as much damage as he's doing, he's embraced what it truly means to be an assassin by keeping so much of his identity and his existence hidden from the JA and the Order. Like the fact they're still lacking information, and that Taro telling them Slur was Uzuki was probably like one of the first major breakthroughs they made this whole time. Like, yeah, it kind of shows just how much the JA really let themselves kind of grow complacent with this whole affair. Like, for as much as I don't condone Uzuki's actions, his scuffle with Taro kind of proves he's masterfully using the JA's teachings of invisible killing spirit against them. Because while they know he exists, Uzuki himself has very effectively erased who he is from the public view. Only those who are like acquainted with him and know any are the ones who know anything about him, and that is an advantage he has kind of even now. Like despite telling them, despite Taro telling them about Uzuki, the only information that's worth to is Nagamo. Like they're gonna actually have to do some fucking digging on this guy now. Like it's like the JA is falling behind. Let's just be real about this. And but yeah, guys, that's pretty much all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Blue Sky, Analyst Crunchyroll, big notification bell, hit the subscribe button, and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight of signing off. But everyone.